And the big story, this one, it's scary if you're on Twitter. It's a reminder about how our data can be compromised, how we can be unsafe, even though we love to be on social media platforms. I'm, of course, talking about Twitter, the accounts of Donald Trump and many, many others who have been hacked today. Here's a special report by my colleague Virat Sharma.
If you're a Twitter user, there's some bad news in store. Twitter came under a coordinated social engineering attack last night. Complicated? Well, let's simplify. Some hackers hacked into profiles of famous celebrities and posted a Bitcoin scam message. Which celebrities, you ask? From billionaires like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, to politicians like Barack Obama, Joe Biden, to celebrities like Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. All the celebrities' tweets had the same message. I'm giving it back to the community due to COVID-19. All the bitcoins sent to my address will be sent back doubled. Now this played well with emotions of other users who then started sending bitcoins. Reports suggest that hackers received up to $100,000 worth of bitcoins in a few minutes. So how did this happen? Well, there's an internal tool at Twitter which was used to take over high-profile accounts. The hacker reportedly used the same tool to reset associated email addresses of the affected accounts. The hacker then pushed a cryptocurrency scam simultaneously. A few hours later, the Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey acknowledged the attack and said, "It's a tough day for us. We feel terrible. We're diagnosing and we will share everything when we have complete understanding of exactly what happened. Love for our teammates working hard to make this right." This is not the first time that Twitter has been under attack. In January this year, NFL team's official account was hacked. In August last year, the CEO Jack Dorsey's account was hacked to share racist and vulgar tweets. Even US military's Twitter account was hacked in the year 2015. Sounds scary, right? Well, if Twitter accounts of these famous celebrities aren't secure, what about accounts of normal users? But here are some tips to keep your account secure. Keep up with your app updates, turn on the two-factor authentication, turn off direct message option, review your sessions, and revoke permission for apps no longer in use. Avoid signing in to third-party websites through your Twitter profile, and never keep your location service on. With Virat Sharma, Vikram Oza, ET Now.
Right, so that brings you up to speed with what's happened, but clearly it's the hottest story of the day, and I'm going to be discussing that with very well-known cybersecurity expert Saket Modi. Hi Saket, Nantara here working from home. Always a pleasure talking to you. You know, the way I look at it is that if it can happen to Donald Trump, if it can happen to Elon Musk, it can certainly happen to me, it can happen to you, or to anybody else that's there on Twitter. So first up, am I right about that?
Correct, Nantara. And firstly, it's always a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you for inviting me. Coming to the hack, what needs to be understood is that the accounts of these individuals that we speak about were not hacked directly. They were hacked through a Twitter employee who was social engineered, and based on the social engineering, the employee of Twitter already had access to read, to post, to delete messages on any account on Twitter. And it was through that credentials that, the accounts of all of these people got hacked. If the hacker wanted, he would have, or she would have gone ahead and posted this message across far more accounts, probably all the accounts which are there on Twitter also. So this is a social engineering attack, and not directly an attack through which, it happened because Barack Obama was not following something which he should have been following. So that's the first and most important thing to understand for the attack, Nantara.
So Saket Modi, is that another way of just saying that this is an inside job?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
Okay. So, and is that also why, there is this raging debate that we're seeing right now about the pitfalls of having an authenticated account, of having that very coveted blue tick mark? Is this one of the pitfalls of that?
I don't think so, Nantara, because from what I understand, the way generally SaaS products work or social media works, the person who had an account access was not just restricted to the ones with a blue tick. It would have been with even people without a blue tick. But it obviously for the hacker made more sense to post it in the account with a blue tick, because generally not only does it have more followers, but that also means that it's coming from an authentic source. And therefore the likelihood of somebody falling prey to that increases. The result of that was pretty evident. It was almost $130,000, which is close to 1 crore rupees, that the hacker was able to earn within a span of just 3 hours. So people actually saw these tweets and suddenly said, okay, I think there can be something that can get doubled. Let me transfer the money to the Bitcoin wallet that was given as an address in these tweets which were there, as a result of which the hacker made a handsome crore rupees just by doing this hack which happened today.
Okay, Saket Modi, so you're saying it's an inside job, there was another purpose to it, but it's a great reminder to all of us as well that the minute you have signed up for an email address, the minute you have apps, the minute you have a smartphone, a smart TV, you are vulnerable to a hack. Having said that, what are the do's and don'ts that you can recommend here on Startup Central? Let's begin with the do's, and let's begin with the do's today with a special emphasis for social media platforms.
Sure. I always like saying this, Nantara, that I don't think we are, as humans, we are smart enough to use the smartphone because of the smartness embedded in it. The reason I say that is, the average processing power of a 5,000 rupee Android smartphone today is more than the first space shuttle which went to the moon and things around that. And the reason I bring this up, it's because, coming to your do's and don'ts, it's unfortunate that we are never really taught in our school, in our colleges, and even at our workplace, frankly, how do you use technology in a responsible way? And considering the reliance of technology, especially after the COVID era, has gone up, it is just a crazy amount of damage that can happen to an individual, both professionally and personally, if the cell phone or the social media account or the email accounts gets hacked. And in most cases, they're all connected to each other. So you need to hack one email, and through which you can actually have a series of accounts that you can hack for an individual. Coming to your question around the do's and don'ts that we need to start with, the first do, and which I highly recommend everybody, is not a technical one, because as a hacker, there are very little do's in the world which I can tell you which cannot be countered by a different degree of sophistication of attacks which are possible. But the first do is really assume that whatever you write in the internet, whether it's a private message to a friend or a picture to a spouse, or it's something which is a social media post restricted to a group, do not assume that it is not something that can be read by somebody else. I think Twitter's hack is a classic example where people need to realize that not only people within those social media companies have an access to your account to read what you're writing, even in your direct personal messages to somebody, but they also have the right to go ahead and delete that. And in some unfortunate cases where they can themselves go rogue, or they're hacked by external hackers, it can be routed through internal people, like what it looks like happened in Twitter. Your identity, your data can be compromised. So assume whatever you're doing on the internet can be potentially hacked, and be very, very careful about anything that you put on the digital landscape or a digital footprint. And of course, the technical do's and don'ts, especially on the social media side, I highly recommend what most people don't realize. 90% of social media breaches are defended by using something as simple as two-factor authentication. I think India has been one of those good places where Reserve Bank of India saw that long back and made it mandatory for every kind of transaction that we do in India. That's why the number of frauds in India, transactional frauds, are much lesser, but obviously that's not mandated on social media. So I would just go with one very, very strong recommendation, that please have two-factor authentication. It really can eradicate 90% of your threat. But a hack like this, you're still not saved with two-factor authentication, because this was an internal or an inside job where the systems of Twitter were hacked, and that's unfortunately nothing that you can do about it. Nantara.
So, so you should have a two-step password authenticator, which you're saying the RBI was, of course, very, very quick to step into. But, I think what has also happened during COVID-19 and the lockdown, and you should know your business might have been booming, it's been a hacker's paradise, right? So even the OTP, the access to email accounts, all of that has also happened from the financial institution's perspective. So what I'm going to now ask you, and I'll make this my final question, do you ever shop online? And if you shop online, do you ever shop via the social media platforms? Like, supposing you see something on Instagram that you like, would you recommend that? Or how to protect yourself?
Yeah. First of all, I absolutely shop online, because anybody who says today I don't want to be shopping online is living in a dinosaur age, and you need to reinvent yourself in knowing that. Now, how do I shop online, however, is very different than most of the places or most of the things that you would know. First of all, to be careful of, I only ensure that I'm shopping online at places which are popular. So whether it's Amazon or Flipkart or a Myntra or the more popular applications which are there, because their security is far more stronger than a mom and pop shop which would have just opened an e-commerce website. The second piece, how do you actually give your credit card, debit card details? I think I can actually quantitatively give you this, that the UPI-enabled payment system, which today is embedded in most of the e-commerce or the popular e-commerce websites in India, is at least twice more efficient, easier to use, and secured than giving your credit card details or debit card details or even doing your net banking. So I would highly recommend people to actually use the UPI transaction. I can tell you, and we serve customers around the world on digital payments, there is no payment system on the planet which is as secured as UPI, because it not only has one factor, two factor, but it has three factor authentication. And the beauty is, even with three factors, you don't have to remember a complex password with uppercase, lowercase, and special characters. So I always invariably use UPI to make my payment. And if I have to use my credit card or my debit card, I ensure that I'm using a card which a very small limit of maybe only 1 lakh rupees and not more than that, because that's an acceptable loss for me, and I would not want to be transacting with a credit card with unlimited balance or unlimited spend limit which would be there. So these are a couple of very quick things that you can use to make sure that you're also secure. Nayantara.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm talking to my father. He says all these things to me all the time, but I guess he's very wise. And so you're saying that UPI perhaps is the best way to actually do it. And that is the best way to shop online, the most secure way to shop online.
Absolutely.
Okay. It's always a great talking to you, Saket. Thank you so much for taking the time out and for joining us here. Clearly, cybersecurity right back at the forefront. What we've seen at Twitter, which Saket is saying is an inside job, but it reminds us all and should remind us all how vulnerable we really are when we are on social media platforms, when we are online. And you heard it here, do's and don'ts to be online, whether it's on social media or even if it's to shop. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a short commercial break, but stay tuned, a lot more lined up on the other side. We'll be in conversation also with a Sunicorn.